And now let's move into the matches for tomorrow in the bottom half of the draw. Quickly touch on Novak Djokovic. He got a walkover from Jakub Mensik. Really disappointing. I know you picked Mensik actually to take out Djokovic. You had Mensik Fritz, so that's kind of a
I was
rough pick by
so
you.
mad. I was so mad.
You were
So
like, I know
mad.
it's going to be Musetti Djokovic, but I'm literally just going to pick Mensik Fritz, which I respected, but
I would have preferred if Djokovic waxed him 6-0, 6-0, 6-0 over
yeah.
just getting a walkover. But it is what it is. It's a variable. And same thing with Fritz. He was injured as well. As a fave of the pod, Rafa Nadal, brought up if no such thing about the career of Nick Kyrgios. Same thing. What if Jakub Mensik was 100% and played Djokovic here? And what if Fritz took out Musetti and then Mensik and Fritz ran into each other and I didn't look like a crazy person picking that? No such thing. So
yeah, and I
it
mean,
is
if
what
you
it is. Djokovic, I surrender. You're the GOAT, okay, Djokovic?
the thing is with Djokovic too is this walkover came at like the perfect time, right before he has to gear up for some quarterfinals, and like at this point in his career, he needs to be saving his legs for the last week of the tournament. And now, he really doesn't have much wear and tear, and he is also coming off a full off season. So, I mean, if there was ever a time, I always thought Djokovic's best chance to win a major would be Wimbledon, but I think the AO, it's probably his best shot here, and has a very winnable matchup here against Lorenzo in a matchup he's historically dominated. And like we said before, he just one-handers or Djokovic is the one-handed kryptonite. So I think the draw just played out beautifully to give Novak another shot here. Obviously, Sinner in the semis, nobody is going to be a tall task if, we'll get to that. But, I mean, if there was ever a time, it would be now for Djokovic.
Like Musetti and Djokovic both feel the same way about this match, that they're happy to be running into each other, because I think Musetti, is going to fancy himself a little bit here and, show that he's been putting in the work. And, yes, grain of salt that he took out Fritz, injured opponent, but the round before that, Mahatch was playing some inspired tennis and was on a one-man wrecking crew of all the one-handers that he met before Musetti, and Musetti took him out.
Revenge for the
Granted, that was a
one-handers.
battle. Testament to how great Mahatch was playing, that he pushed Musetti to 5. Musetti's really gonna want to give Djokovic a run for his money here, and I think he can. I think he's one of the few players that can, not named Sinner and Alcaraz, one of the few players that can beat Djokovic here. I'd say, Shelton maybe, if he were to run into Djokovic, would have the firepower. Unfortunately, he's going to be dealing with someone better than Djokovic, which you can,
Djokovic 2.0.
rarely ever say.
a younger, longer, slightly faster Djokovic.
With more reddish hair. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to be risky, because at this point, whatever, I haven't looked at our bracket. I don't
You're
know
actually doing pretty well in the
bracket
challenge. You're doing way better than me. I had
Stefanos. Am I like top 5?
Yeah,
okay.
You're like in the top 5. I had Stefanos in my quarterfinals, so that went out. Mine was dead on arrival. Yeah, my bracket was terrible.
We had Chapo playing Tsitsipas in the semis. No, I'm barely exaggerating, but I had Chapo. We were rooting for the best for Chapo. Marin Cilic, Cilic the boogeyman.
Oh, seriously. We knew Cilic was going to kill Chapo.
I'll never be over that scoreline.
Yeah, but I mean, going back to...
But yeah, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to risk it and say Musetti in 5. Musetti in 5 over Djokovic.
5? Oh, how much I would that would be so glorious. I would be so happy for my man Lorenzo. I think Musetti is one of my favorite players on tour right now. He might be my favorite player. He's clearly the number one-hander on tour. And I think it's no fluke that he is up to number 3 in the live rankings right now. Which is kind of crazy to say, but Lorenzo Musetti is literally the third playing. If the tournament ended right now, he would be number 3. And I think with his improvements he's made on his serve, his forehand, his aggression, that has translated to more success on these faster conditions on a hard court where where at the start of his career he was really struggling on these quicker conditions. That has culminated in this rise in the rankings, but I do still think Djokovic is a top 3 player on a fast hard court. I don't think Musetti's quite there. I think he's in that now like second tier, like we said, on a hard court. He's in that like lower of the second tier, maybe behind Shelton, maybe behind Zverev, but Djokovic I put right behind Alcaraz and Sinner,
Mensick,
especially.
a healthy Mensick.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
But I mean, Djokovic, if like from all we've seen so far, there's no physical concerns from Djokovic, and just purely tennis based, like he's still got it. Like he still can do everything. And the issue, or why he's been so dominant against Musetti, is Musetti just relies on his defense so often. And it's going to be really interesting to see if Musetti just camps deep behind the baseline and just lets Djokovic come to net, because I think that's where Djokovic is going to thrive. He's going to shorten the points. He's not going to let Musetti just run around and extend these rallies and try to kill Djokovic's legs. Djokovic is going to try to dictate it on his terms. So it's going to be interesting to see if Musetti does come up with something different, because what he's been doing so far hasn't really worked. So I mean, if Musetti comes out firing and plays offensive tennis and goes absolutely nuts, he can push him, he can win this, but I think odds are I've learned my lesson for too many times with betting against Djokovic in his career, and now I think he's got a couple more in him where he's going to make another semifinal, and I think that would be like 5 in a row for him, maybe even 6 going back to the year before last year. So I think I'm going to go with Djokovic in 4. I'm going to go Djokovic in 4 because if it does get into a 5th, it's hard to go against Musetti's fitness. I think Djokovic obviously can summon himself in like the 4th or 5th hour, but it's tough to not take the young, fresh legs of a 23, 24-year-old if it does get into that deep, because I think we're in for a battle tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, Djokovic was looking so good against my Dutch countryman Van de Zandschulp that the announcer at some point was like, well, it's looking like the best chance might be if Djokovic pulls a hammy or something. Yeah, like, I don't know if you saw that.
Did you see him almost get defaulted? Dude, Djokovic
no,
almost hit
I know.
a ball
like,
kid.
So two best chances. I know. So no one's safe when Djokovic is on. Like first there was he accidentally whacked that Lions lady in the neck and got defaulted in 2020, which gave our boy Dami Team opportunity for his one and only major.
Oh, yeah.
We miss you, Dami. Feel free to come on the pod soon.
Agreed.
Open
invite.
And now it just uncharacteristically just like non-compos mentis, whatever phrase, Djokovic just almost takes the ball kid out. That would be crazy if he got defaulted here.
And then Botic got the walkover, so he was
Musetti
in the quarterfinals.
Just get easy. Yeah.
We were that close to having Botic Van de Zandschulp in the quarterfinals.
So he just needed either an injury from Djokovic or him to injure one of the non-players on the court. And he almost got one of those, but no. Instead, here we see Djokovic, another chance to just extend his legacy.
Yeah, my heart is going to be rooting for Musetti, obviously, but my brain, I have to pick Novak there, which kind of pains me to say, obviously. But are we in for another battle between Sinner and Djokovic, or do you give fiery Big Ben Shelton a chance to push him tomorrow?
I wish Shelton was playing anyone besides Jannik Sinner. I literally wish he was playing Alcaraz, or if he was playing Djokovic, I would go Shelton the same way that I just went Musetti over Djokovic. Like I think Shelton's got that fire in him, but Sinner, assumingly, because Sinner looked very sharp against Darderi to squash any doubts because of his physical concerns in the against our American Elliot Svizeri. Yeah, it's not going against Sinner here, unfortunately. Sorry, Benny boy. Shelton might have the. I don't even know if he's gonna have the highlights. Honestly, that's good. Sinner's gonna be so hungry to just quell any hope that Shelton will have. I think Sinner wins maybe there's like a random point that Shelton just like rides the momentum and somehow pulls a set and like gets a break at 6-5 or something and wins like seven
Yeah.
five. But I'm gonna say it's not gonna go the distance, and Shelton's not about to beat Sinner handily. So Sinner in four. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I feel like Ben has
Pains
been
me to say
so.
it.
I know. I mean, Ben, he has been improving his overall game, and I love his trajectory as a player. He just like he's just not there yet quite to be Alcaraz or Sinner. And what's crazy to say is he's gotten there so many times. Like, yes, he did get injured and lost to Manarino last year at the U.S. Open, and that was a disappointment. But for the most part, he's lost to either Sinner or Alcaraz at all the other slams. So he's doing well enough to get in, take care of business, get through the early rounds, and get to this point deep in the tournament where he gets to gauge himself and his progress and have a test against these guys. Because at the end of the day, if he wants to win a Grand Slam, this is who you need to compete with. You need to beat Sinner. You need to beat Carlos, which is tough for sure.
Yeah.
And Ben is one of those guys where, if he figures everything out, the ceiling is there for him to do it. I think, when's the time? Is it ever going to happen? Is now the time? Ben is going to try. He's a gamer. He's going to go out and try to beat Sinner. It's not like he's like, oh, he's better than me, I'm going to roll over. Like, Ben is going to come out firing, and it's going to be really interesting to
Yeah.
see what kind of game plans he comes in, because Sinner is just so all around deficient. And what do you do? Where do you target? Everywhere you go, it's the danger zone against Sinner. Maybe you just go down the middle and try to win win that way, because if you get him side to side, then nobody's better than Sinner out wide on the wings. So, I mean, hopefully Ben
He's
serve.
gotta
He's got
he's
to
gotta
serve
come
big.
in. He's gotta come in when he can. Yeah. The longer the point, obviously, the more favors Sinner. So Shelton's gotta be crazy aggressive to have a shot, which he can do. But
Yeah, it's
let's
going to
hope
be
for
very
it. I'm saying
interesting
Sinner
to
in four.
see. I think a big factor, and I'm going to be looking at the schedule tomorrow, is if this match is during the day or at night. Because if it's during the day, I give Sinner a little bit more of a chance if it is really hot out. He gets a little bit more off his serve in the faster conditions. If it's at night, though, I think Sinner, it's going to be tough to get over Sinner, because he's going to be a little cooler conditions. He's not going to be affected by, the atmosphere. And he'll just be like, if the night conditions do slightly favor Sinner. So I don't know which way they're going to go with that, because both guys are well deserving. Sinner's a the back-to-back Grand Slam champion here, and Djokovic has won this tournament 10 times. So it's like, who do you give or who do you give the what there? But yeah, I think in past
Mm.
years, like, Ben has played well enough, and that still hasn't equated to him even getting a set off Sinner. So I think like him actually getting a set, pushing him
Mm.
to 4, if he does get to 5, that would be a blockbuster. The line is set, like Sinner's going to annihilate him. So like the risk is like, if
Yeah.
the question is not like, can Ben do it? Because I don't think anybody thinks he's ready. I think that's probably going to be like a year or two maybe, or maybe on grass or something. But I think the bet is whether or not Ben could get a set, and so far he's looked pretty impressive. So I could see it, but I don't know. It's so
I
hard
think
to go
he's
against
doing it.
Sinner.
I think he's doing a set. It's just as Nick Kyrgios, former friend of the pod. I don't know. We're working on our relationship. It's a little rocky from all of his shade towards Sinner before the shade was being thrown. That he called him the Slim Reaper.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think especially if they're especially if that's a night match that's just has Slim Reaper taking Benny Boy to the woodshed like
Oh
written all
yeah.
over it. So maybe Shelton should pray for a day match. Let it be a little sluggish conditions, more free points on serve for him. I don't know.
Anything is possible. I love to
Let's
see
see.
it.